Welcome back to another episode of the Trade Ball Podcast. I'm your host, Ethan. I'm joined with my co-host, RJ. Say what's up to the people, man.
What's good with y'all? What's good?
RJ, how you feeling this week, man?
I'm feeling all right. Got All-Star Weekend going on. Excited to watch All-Star game tonight. So I'm feeling good.
I'm excited for that as well. We are on the All-Star break, so that's next week. Not going to be any hoops really until the end of the week. So nice little break from hoops and nice little break for the players. Come back refreshed. And before we get into it, I wish don't mind my voice. I'm a little under the weather today, but still recording for y'all, so we're going to get this out. And, before we get into it, make sure you like the video, subscribe if you're new, comment down below if you like the video, all that good stuff. So without further ado, go ahead and get into it. So I wanted to start off with the Bucks. They are 3-7 in their last 10 games, all those games being under Doc Rivers as well. 3-7 since the coaching change. The main question is, can they turn it around? So I'll pass this one to you, RJ, and what do you think about this?
I'm going to say yes, they can turn it around. They dropped from, at one point they had overtaken the Celtics to be the one seed. That was a little earlier, but they had done it. And now they dropped under the Cavs, who have been playing really good basketball.
Yep.
And they're the 3 seed right now. So I think they definitely can get back on track, but they gotta start doing some things better. I don't think Doc Rivers is particularly good at adjusting, as we've seen in other places. And then also, one thing I don't like Doc Rivers is doing is the younger players on the team haven't been playing.
Right.
Like, MarJon Beauchamp hasn't been playing as much. I think Cam Payne has been playing a little less. And those are guys that obviously are hit or miss some nights. But that's part of the NBA. Is you have some guys that are hit or miss, and some guys that can be spark plugs.
Well, Cam Payne's gone now too.
Oh yeah, wait, he did get traded.
Yeah, the Pat Bev trade.
Yeah. So, and MarJon Beauchamp, for what it is, he's kind of a streaky shooter, and obviously he can be a difference maker on the defensive end. And for him to just not be playing much at all, I think he's logged out of the last 10 games. I want to say he's played barely. He played like 8 minutes and is his most. He's logged some DNPs too. So,
right.
Very disappointing just out of a guy who at the start of the year was playing about like 15 to 20 minutes a game. And so I don't like how that has kind of how they've kind of shortened their rotation. And for a team that I don't want to say is older, but Dame is what, 31? 30,
older than that.
Yeah, 32, something like that.
There.
And then, Giannis has a lot of miles on him, obviously. I don't like how they are kind of shortening their rotation so early in the season. And it hasn't been working.
Dame's 33.
Yeah. So you look at that and it's like, damn. They don't need to be shortening rotations with that lineup.
Yeah.
And so you're not a younger team, so I feel like Doc Rivers needs to, if they're going to do something, they need to do it soon. He needs to figure out what they're going to do, because we're getting to the point in the season where it's almost the point of no return. You're not just going to turn it on and play good in the playoffs, unless you're the fucking Miami Heat every fucking year. But for the average teams, you're not just going to turn it on in the playoffs and start playing like you haven't been playing in the past. So they need to get going.
Yeah, they like I said, 3-7 in their last 10. But I don't think it's like maybe the turnaround. I think they're definitely going to turn it around. It's still a team that has Dame and Giannis on their team.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're for sure going to turn it around. There's some things they still got to adjust to. Like, Bobby Portis gets a lot of post touches and stuff like that. I don't necessarily like that.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, I literally just saw a video. I was talking about it's difficult. He's had 4 different coaches in the span of 6 months.
Damn.
That's because you have Budenholzer,
mm-hmm.
then you get rid of him, you get AJ Griffin, and then you have a interim head coach until Doc gets there for like a game or 2.
Yeah.
I think it might have been 2 games he coached, and you have Doc. So and every single coach, doesn't matter if this assistant was under AJ Griffin for a little while. Every single coach has a different, especially in the NBA when these assistant coaches have been head coaches before at other places. Yeah. Every coach has a different way of doing things, So that's a lot to deal with the players. And even though they have the talent, coaching matters at the end of the day. So it's a lot to get used to. And Doc Rivers, at the end of the day, I still think he's a decent coach. And he's at least a good regular season coach.
He's. I just feel like his ability to adjust his system is just not even there. It's not there. he kind of just runs with what he has, and it is what it is, But
yeah, but his system always equates to regular season wins.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So I think this week-long All-Star break is really going to help them. I think after the All-Star break, they're due for a big run, probably a couple big winning streaks, and who knows what happens in the playoffs. But I think they're due for a good run, and Doc will figure it out. You got Giannis and Dame; they'll figure out behind. They'll get under Doc's system. They'll figure out how they want to play. Doc will learn how his star players want to play, all that stuff, and they'll figure it out. So I think they don't. There's maybe a little bit of worrying right now, but I think they come out of the All-Star break hot. Now, if they don't, if they 5 games, maybe not even 5, maybe 10 games out of the All-Star break, they're 4-6, and those 10 games after the All-Star break, then even if they're like 5-5, I think now we have something to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
But I can see them going on a run for sure.
I can see that. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to be able to get, because the Cavs are playing really good basketball. The Celtics have been good all year. I don't know if they'll be able to get back in that number 2 spot.
Yeah, the Cavs, I want to talk about them a bit later. But the Cavs have been very, very good. Like I said, they're the 2 seed right now, and if the Cavs keep playing how they are, they might not be able to get back to that 2 spot.
Yeah. That's
something that you kind of want right now because we know how good the Celtics are. You'd rather play them in the conference finals than have to play them early.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
That 2 spot is very, very valuable right now because I don't see the Celtics losing that 1 spot.
Oh no, I don't think we'll lose that. And it also just sucks because when you look at the East, I feel like the East isn't like I don't know if it's top heavy because who's sitting at 6 right now?
6 is Indy. The East kind of is top heavy, I think, because you got Boston, Cleveland, and you got Milwaukee. Milwaukee still has a couple. That shows how good they were because they're 3-7 last 10, and they're still a 3 seed.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have New York at 4. You got Philly at 5, but I would assume they drop a little bit because we still don't know if Embiid is coming back. We know he'll be back for a little while at least. So you got Indy at 6, and 7 and below is kind of you don't really know. You still got Miami, Orlando at 8, Chicago at 9, Atlanta at 10. Either way, I don't think Milwaukee wouldn't drop lower than 5. I don't think
4 or 5. No, I don't think so.
Because even if Philly drops, I don't know if Indiana. I mean, New York could go on a winning streak. Indiana could theoretically too, but I don't think you would drop below Philly or Miami or Orlando. Those teams. So I think at the least it would be 5.
I was more just saying for like who they're going to have to play in the first round. Like if you get a series against the Pacers, right? I think the Pacers take them to 6?
I mean, the Pacers is a team that's
maybe 7
had their number all season too.
Yeah.
So that's a team, and they have an all-star caliber player now, Pascal Siakam. This is a team that, if they figure things out, they could be dangerous in the playoffs.
So say even if they don't beat the Bucks, they take that older Bucks team to 7 games. Then the Bucks are reeling, and then they'd have to play a really good team in the second round because they'd have to play who? If they were the 3rd seed, they have to play the Cavs.
Yep.
Do you want to go? We want to go into a playoff series against a hot team, the Cavs, who are rolling. Do you want to go into a playoff series coming off a 7-game series? You can't do that.
Anybody wants to play against the Cavs right now. The Cavs have looked like, I'd say, the best team in the past couple weeks. They've been the best team in the NBA, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, we're doing some hot take stuff later. I have them in one of my hot takes. We'll talk about them more, but I mean, they're 18-2 in their last 20.
Jesus Christ!
And they haven't just been beating teams; they have just barely won. They've been blowing teams out, beating good teams for that matter too. I mean, this is a very, very good team. Donovan Mitchell is looking like a superstar, and then a lot of that win streak was without 2 of their best players.
Yeah,
I'd argue their 2nd and 3rd best player. And now they have those guys back, and they're rolling with those guys too. This team fully healthy is a problem. And then when this trade happened, we all thought this team was going to be good.
Yeah,
we didn't know how it would work, and then of course had a lot of injury issues last year. And then first round of the playoffs, they didn't do so hot. The lights were too bright or whatever. But and then this year, a lot of injuries at the start of the season. But it's a team that everybody knows and thought that they could be good, and they have been.
Yeah.
So it's a team nobody wants to see. Like I said, we'll talk about them more later. But the Bucks definitely, like I said, they need this run coming out of the All-Star break. They don't need to be slow coming out of it. They need a nice win streak. I'd say like a 5-6 game win streak just coming out of the All-Star break to help them get on track.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes. But moving on, there's another team that I want to talk about, the Kings. And they've been relatively good this season. It's just the West is so loaded.
Yeah.
And the question is, will the Kings get out of the play-in? I'm gonna start. I can go ahead and start you off with this one. I think ultimately, they can. Yes, but will they? I'm gonna say no.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say no because it's not even their fault. It's just the West has been so good. I can start off. The top 4 seeds. They're not. They're just frankly, they're just not better than the top 4 seeds in the West. Minnesota, Oklahoma City, Clippers, and Denver. They're not better than those 4 teams. I don't really need to go into detail about them. The other teams above them, the Sacramento is currently the 8th seed. The other 3 teams above them are New Orleans, Phoenix, and Dallas. All right, New Orleans, they haven't beaten good teams that often. They're currently the 5 seed right now because they just went 7-1 right before the All-Star break.
Yeah,
they don't necessarily beat the best teams. They did beat the Clippers recently, but they usually don't beat good teams. But they take care of business against the bad teams, and that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
And they're a decent team. They have a lot of really good players and really good role players. They're a deep team, and they've been really good. Luka, we know he's been on another level, and Dallas got even better at the trade deadline. That's currently the they're the 7th seed right now, and they're I'd argue better or maybe same level as Sacramento. You got the Phoenix, and we know how good they are when their 3 stars play. Phoenix is currently the 6th seed.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also still have teams like the Lakers and the Warriors, who are the 9 and 10 spot right now, who are below them, who, frankly, I don't think are better than the Sacramento Kings, but they've been playing. Both those teams have been little win streaks as of late.
Mm-hmm.
So those are teams, still ultimately have, LeBron James, Steph Curry, Anthony Davis, Draymond Green just came up for the Warriors. He's been helping them be better. So it's like, these are still teams you have to take seriously. And, the Kings are still a very good basketball team. It's just last year we saw the West wasn't this good last year, right? A lot more injuries last year, not this many good teams. You didn't have the Wolves being this good. You didn't have the Thunder being this good. The Clippers were a decent team. They ended up being a top 5 seed, but they still weren't, what they are now.
Yeah.
Denver, you still had Denver, but New Orleans, they were a playing team.
Yeah.
You had Phoenix, who they had just made the trade mid-season for Kevin Durant. I mean, Dallas was in the playoffs last year because Luka had some injury stuff. Mm-hmm. They got Kyrie at the trade deadline. They were struggling to figure it out. And Sacramento was the only team that was healthy last season. So,
they did benefit a lot from being healthy.
Yeah, it's like they're still a good basketball team at the end of the day, and they'll still for sure be in the play-in, no doubt about it. They won't drop lower than they won't drop lower than 10, I don't think. And they have a decent lead on the Lakers right now for keeping that 8 spot.
Mm-hmm.
They only have a 1-win lead, but they only have 1 more win than the Lakers, but they have 3 less losses. So they're still all right now. And the Warriors, even bigger gap right there.
Mm-hmm.
But Utah and Houston are still good teams too. So you never know. So the Kings, they're in a spot. I think they're comfortably in the play-in, but they could go up if Dallas or Phoenix or New Orleans have. New Orleans could be a team I can see dropping.
Yeah, I can see New Orleans having some injury stuff. I mean, just down the stretch, all their guys seem to not be injury prone, but they've got some guys that could definitely rack up some injuries.
Yeah, but I don't really see Dallas or Phoenix dropping. I think, Phoenix could have injuries as well. Mm-hmm. But, Phoenix is a team that even without some of their star players, they're still good. And Dallas, I mean, they've been really good. I think we're due for a Dallas jump. I can see them jumping up to the 5 seed. Honestly.
Yeah, I can honestly see that too. They were playing all right basketball, and then obviously, like, whenever you have Luka and Kyrie, I know Kyrie's always, on and off with the injuries, but any team that has that, it's tough to just count them out and say that they can't get better and play better ball. So I think Dallas can rise up. For the Kings, I feel like they should be doing everything in their power to not be in the play-in. And I'll get into that later when we have our hot takes. But I think the Kings, more than anything, they last year what they benefited from was staying healthy. and they've been healthy this year too. But I just think it's tough for them. I think it's tough for them when everyone else is healthy because when you look at their roster and the way it's fully constructed, I don't know if their roster is as talented as even some of these teams that are under them. Like you look at Golden State, like it's going. You're muted. Okay, yeah. It's Golden State. Even like you look at Golden State, like are they really more talented than Golden State? Are they really more talented than the Lakers? I mean, you look at it and it's like disappointing to look at because they are. I mean, they're a good team, they're a young team, but like when you look at the Lakers' top two guys, and I know that's not how you play basketball, but you look at LeBron and Anthony Davis. That's what's one of the best duos in the league, if not the most talented duo there is. You know, you look at Steph Curry is proven to just be an equalizer, right? And then you look at the Warriors' whole team. Clay came off the bench the other day and lit it the fuck up. I mean, he played amazing basketball, which, I mean, credit to you. You've been saying that forever. They should bring him off the bench. And I think it worked perfectly, right? So you see those two teams playing good basketball. And then you, like you said, like Phoenix has been playing good basketball. I don't see them dropping. Dallas, obviously, like I said, Luka and Kyrie. So it's tough. I guess they could kind of try to bank on Phoenix, or I'm sorry, New Orleans dropping a little bit due to some injury stuff. But outside of that, I don't see any of these teams just starting to play bad basketball. I really couldn't see it. So they need to, I guess, worry about what they can do. I mean, they can always get a game here or a game there, but it'll be tough for them to move too much just because of how deep the West is.
It's so deep. And like I said, I think they'll ultimately stay in the play-in around that 7-8 slot, in my opinion, I think. But they better hope the Lakers and the Warriors don't both continue to play very well and they have a run, because if they do, they'll be in that 9-10 spot. Either way, I think if they do ultimately be in the play-in, I don't know, man. They'll either be a first-round exit or they won't even make the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I think that ultimately could be a blessing in disguise for them, because I think if that happens, maybe the front office say, okay, the West is deep, we need another star. Mm-hmm. Because we all know they have picks, they have assets to go get a star. And, I don't think is how it was the past 20 years. I think they can get somebody like a star and convince them to re-sign, because this is a team that their culture is better now. They have one of the best atmospheres in the league. It's still in California, and they have star guys like Fox and Sabonis, who I feel like a lot of people would love to play with a guy like Sabonis and Fox.
Fox.
So, I can see them trying to go get a star wing this offseason, and hopefully, if they do end up being a play-in or missing out on the playoffs at all, they decide to do that.
Who could you see them getting?
I mean, I think Mikal Bridges is ultimately going to get traded. I think you throw everything you got at Mikal. I think every team should be throwing everything they got at Mikal Bridges.
Mm-hmm.
I think all those picks that you have. They don't want to trade Keegan Murray. I don't think you should trade Keegan Murray, but if you're getting Mikal Bridges, I don't know if I would mind it.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you can probably, with the amount of picks they have, they might be able to get out without giving up Keegan Murray. If you can keep Keegan Murray and also give up, I'll give up 4 first-round picks.
Ooh.
Give up 4 first-round picks, and I mean, I don't know who else.
He is really good,
they got to give. It's just the thing is, he's what he wants to be when he doesn't have to be the star player of the team.
Yes,
we know he can be the best defender in the league.
Yeah,
we know that, and he's also going to knock down a corner 3. But he's going to be an elite catch and shoot player, and he can go score when you need him to. Yeah. He's proven that. He's just the jack of all trades that any team could use.
Yeah,
and I mean, I just taking a glance right quick of stuff they could give up. I mean, you got your main piece is Keegan Murray, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, you got not really any other pieces any young pieces that any team would care about. I mean, you got like Chris Duarte, but he's not even that young.
Yeah. Chris Duarte is like old as shit, low key.
Chris Duarte is like 27, I want to say.
Yeah, but this is like his 3rd or 4th year in the league.
Almost 27. Yeah, he's only in his 3rd year, but he's 27, almost 27.
Yeah.
So, and he's not really been playing particularly well, so he's not really a guy that they care about. Keegan Murray is the main piece, of course. Keegan Murray is a legit player, and he could be taking another step next season and be that 3rd star for them. But he's averaging 15 a game this season, 15-5. Even though his 3-point numbers are down, we know he's still an elite shooter.
Yeah,
elite catch and shoot player. And he's been one of the best defenders. I'd argue he should be on an all defensive team this season.
Yeah, he has been good on defense.
He's been an elite defender. So if you could somehow have that and Mikal Bridges on your team, that would be very crazy.
Yeah.
Of course, it'd be hard, but
I don't know how I feel about Keegan Murray, right? Because I think they draft him in hopes that he would develop kind of his like one-on-one type of game, like where develop his ISO type of game, and he hasn't done that, right? Like when I look at the Kings, I see a roster that like Sabonis is a good. I don't want to say Sabonis isn't a good ISO type of player, but his game works a lot better when he's working within the system of the offense, right? He can get his post-up looks, his quick post-up game going, his mid-range game going. Every now and then he might hit a three. He doesn't shoot a lot of threes, but every now and then he might hit a three. But he works well off of Fox. He definitely benefits from having Fox. And he also is a good rebounder, so he gets a lot of putbacks and things like that. But I think right now what Sacramento is missing is a secondary isolation scorer, right? Because Fox, as we've seen in the past, like you can only do so much if you only have a guard that can score. Because eventually you're going to go against a team that has an elite perimeter defender, and unless you're going against someone unless you have like a Steph Curry or like someone that's really like a game breaker like that. Not to say Fox isn't really good, but I don't know if Fox is good enough to be the best player on the championship team. And so I think they need to, if he is good enough to be the best player on the championship team, I think they need to get someone to supplement his scoring or supplement his shortcomings, if that makes sense. You know?
Like, yeah, it makes sense. It's also the defense for me though. I get that, and their offense. We saw how good their offense was last year.
Mm-hmm.
Hasn't been as good this year, obviously, but their offense when it's flowing, it's a very good offense. You know, playing through that Fox and Sabonis pick and roll is one of the best 2-man games in the league.
Yes.
And then you got all the people playing off Sabonis. And I do agree, they don't really have another person to go get their own shot. You know, you got like guys like Malik Monk off the bench. But Keegan Murray isn't the best at getting his own shot. He works better playing in the system. Same with like Kevin Huerter.
Yeah.
Of course, we know, like you said, Sabonis. He's more of he can work in the ISO and the mid range and stuff like that, but he's more of a dribble handoff, pick and roll type. Like he works better in that sense. So somebody that can get their own shot also helps a lot for them too. And Keegan Murray developing that would help. But it's also like, I look at like the points. They score a lot of points. They score 118.4 points a game. Top 10 in the league. While also giving up 118 points. Like that's the thing. They don't necessarily have a rim protector. You know, Domantas Sabonis is not a terrible defender at the end of the day.
Yeah.
He's part of defense, but he's not, our stopper. And then, of course, like we said, Keegan Murray, I think, should make an all-defensive team. He's been outstanding guarding the other team's best player this season, but De'Aaron Fox isn't necessarily a great defender. Kevin Huerter isn't a great defender. The other guys around him aren't. So, more similar pieces like that, or of course, getting a guy like a Mikal Bridges. Another guy could be like a Lauri Markkanen. He's a guy that we know can play in a system. He could be. I think he would thrive in a system like that.
Yeah.
But he's also a guy that can obviously go get his own shot, but he works well in a system like that. So he would thrive, but it's also, to your point, they someone have another guy that can really go and get their own shot. So
how would you feel about like a Zach LaVine type of trade? I understand like you're looking at it saying like there's still no defense.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's easier to go get a kind of like a low usage big, someone that can play some defense, than to get a scorer like Zach LaVine. Like I feel like even if you could, I think a team like they can go get a guy like Daniel Gafford, and I look at them and say like, damn, they got better by getting Daniel Gafford, right?
Yeah.
But like, can you go get a guy like Zach LaVine just anywhere? No. I think you pick up Zach LaVine and you pick up someone that's just like a low usage big, catch some lobs, block some shots, play defense, rebound. I think that's I don't want to say a dime a dozen in today's NBA, but more or less a dime a dozen. Like there's a lot of guys like that. So I think that transforms their whole team if they get a big like that. Because then Sabonis doesn't have to take on as much responsibility on defense. He's able to put more effort on offense. And then we look at a lot of because a lot of their problem is they don't, like you said, they don't have anyone in the middle to really like hold it down. Like when if you get a good big they're playing against or a good slasher, they don't have anyone. There's no one at the rim that puts fear into people. And it's
I mean, their backup bigs are, of course you got a big wing and Harrison Barnes, but he isn't, that's not a big. You got Trey Lyles, but he's not a rim protector.
Yeah.
But he's been very good. Don't get me wrong. He's very good 3-point shooter and a stretch big. Can somewhat hold it down, but he's not a stopper by any means. And JaVale McGee's your backup big.
He's good, but again, like, how old is he these days? 35. Oh, he's getting up there.
JaVale McGee and Alex Len.
Yeah, see, that's JaVale not going to get it done.
36. He just turned 36 a month ago.
Yeah,
so he's not, he's not necessarily getting a whole lot of playing time. He's just about 8 minutes a game, and you mix it up with him and like Alex Len or whatever. But man, it's rough. But let me ask you this before we move on from the Kings. There is one guy that I think fixes both the problems. It's the scoring issues, the defense issues, being able to create your own shot. Now, ultimately and hopefully, I do think this guy's going to re-sign. But what if Paul George doesn't extend and decides to go to the Kings?
How do you look at this team? Sacramento? I wouldn't. Now, really? if this did happen, I would say that obviously they're going to be a good team. I don't think they are a championship team.
You don't think so?
No, because I feel like it would change the whole dynamic of everything. Now Sabonis is the third option, which maybe is good, but he's still got to find touches. And then Paul George is a great perimeter defender, but like it still doesn't fix their problem as far as like Sabonis being barbecue chicken. and then now Fox is trying to play as a second option, which I think would be good for him too. But I think it kind of helps what they're already good at, scoring. And Paul George, I know obviously is an elite defender. Like he's been an elite defender since he came in the league.
Right.
But it's like I don't think perimeter defense is their big problem.
Right, but I'm saying obviously I'm still under the sense of if Paul George does, because obviously as of right now Paul George is a free agent this offseason.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. He is we think hopefully he'll resign, but we know how Paul George is with the resigning stuff. Yeah. You don't know, right?
Yeah.
I think it fixes a lot of their problems because he's a guy that can go get his own bucket whenever. Obviously, one of the most elite players of all time at doing that.
Yeah,
he's a guy that we see how he plays. He can play in a system. He can play as the third. He's not the third option on our team, but he can play as the third option when James Harden's running this show. Or De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis can still run the show.
Yeah,
right. And Paul George can just be the hired gun, if you will. Like come in when you need him to, he'll go get your bucket. He'll play elite defense, and you can still. You got to think if they're getting him, they're not really giving anything up because it's a free agency sign. Now, it'd be a miracle for the Kings to be able to get a free agency signing, obviously. But I'm just throwing it out there. It's Paul George still staying in California.
Yeah.
Wanting to switch it up, maybe gets a better offer from somewhere else. Who knows? And I mean, maybe it'd be a sign and trade type thing to make the money work, but sign and trades don't give much up, and you would still have all your picks. So. Then you can get other little things like a Daniel Gafford type or some other backups because you still have all your picks. I think they would be a top 3 team in the West.
For sure. I don't know. So we look out west. Who's going to be good again next year? Presumably.
Obviously, if something like that were to happen, the Clippers lose. One of their best players. Exactly. The Clippers automatically drop. So OKC would still be good.
Going to be good. Minnesota,
Denver,
and Jokic is not going anywhere.
Right.
You'd assume Phoenix, but you look. So I'd assume the 3 best teams would probably be Minnesota. That can keep what they got going.
I think Sacramento will be better than Minnesota.
You do?
If that were to happen,
I think Minnesota would be a terrible matchup for them. I think that'd be a nightmare matchup because you got the 2 bigs. Yeah. The 2 bigs.
Yeah.
Ant when he's active and chooses to be a good defender is a great defender.
You're right.
So that's and then they still got a solid team outside of all that.
Yeah, but I also think it's hard to argue because of the matchup, but
and then we know about Jokic. Jokic is hell for Sabonis. Like, and I don't hate that matchup as much as I hate the Minnesota matchup. I feel like Minnesota matching up against that team.
Better than Denver.
Are you serious?
I think so. That's assuming
say.
They get a Paul George and they use their pieces to get a better backup center. And that's a lot of stuff coming into it. But if that were to happen, and Denver is what it is right now, I think they'd be better than Denver, at least regular season wise.
It's just so tough for me to say because Denver has the X factor. Denver has what you can't fix. Jokic is going to get off regardless. So you'd have to figure out a way to stop that. And like you said, I guess if they win and got a big who could at least try to fuck with Jokic, but it's like how many guys have we seen do that?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Playoff wise, I don't know who knows how it would be. They could still end up being a first, second round exit. Yeah, playoff wise. I get what you're saying, but as much as I love, obviously I want Paul George to resign or extend or whatever it is, but that team sounds and like me looking at that team sounds like some fun basketball to watch.
Yeah, it does. It sounds really exciting for sure.
Yeah, but we can move from Sacramento, and we can move on to our hot takes. We got some post All-Star break hot takes for y'all. I'm gonna let you start this one off, RJ. What I got 3 myself. I don't know how many you have.
I got 2.
I have 3 myself.
So we'll alternate a little bit. I'll go first.
Yep.
I got my first one, and it has to do with the Kings. Actually, is that if they don't get out of the plan, they won't make the playoffs. Because I think, and all the teams that are current, like if it were to start today, all those teams that are in that situation in a 1-game scenario, I can't see them beating any of those teams. I think Dallas beats them in a 1-game scenario, must have it. I think the Lakers beat them in a must have it game, and I think if the Warriors were to do it, I think they beat them in a must have it.
Ooh.
Because all those teams, and I hate that you go off the best player, but at a certain point, like, it gets to be like that. Like your best player has to do it, and I think not that Fox has been a great clutch player, and Sabonis has been a good player this year, but I just think look at all those teams, the rosters in whole. I think that in a 1-game must-have a scenario, I'm not to say that in a 7-game series Sacramento couldn't compete. I just think if they don't get out of this plan right now and it stays how it is right now, they don't make the playoffs.
So as it is right now, so you're agreeing with this? I think 100%. You think if they stay in the plan, it's not happening?
Yeah, I agree. I think that.
I'm torn because I think if it were to start right now, I think Dallas beats them in a 1 game, and then obviously after that one they would either be playing the Lakers or the Warriors. I think they beat the Warriors if they were to play the Warriors. We saw it last year. 7-game series came down to the wire.
Yeah,
we saw how good Fox was. Sabonis was hit or miss. But I think he would be better this year.
Yeah,
I'm going to say the Kings beat the Warriors in a 1-game scenario. It's a coin flip, but I'm going to say that. But with the Lakers, I'm torn because, like we said about their center play, that's a game where Anthony Davis could go for 35 and 20.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you're getting that out of Anthony Davis, the Lakers probably aren't losing.
Yeah, nah.
So let me ask you this then: who would you think win out of the Lakers and the Warriors in a 1-game scenario?
The Lakers.
You think so?
Yeah, I think the Lakers are a much better team than we see. I think on a night-to-night basis, it's hard for them to. Also, they got a lot of in and out pieces. I feel like every night there's someone that's hurt or someone that doesn't play as well as they should play. But I feel like in a 1-game scenario, I guess I don't know who's going to be hurt at the time. So I'm saying in my head, everyone's healthy. I just don't think. I don't think the Warriors could beat because that's another game where, like, obviously Draymond's a good defender, but like he's not what he used to be. I think that's another game where AD could go for like 30 and 15. So like I don't see either of those teams having someone that could really stop AD.
You make a very compelling argument. I'm gonna disagree. I'm gonna say because I do believe in the Kings, and I ultimately do think the Kings are a better team than the Warriors and are a better team than the Lakers.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure.
And I do agree with you that Anthony Davis against them could go off like 35 and 20, like I said, or Steph Curry could go off. I think they would beat the Warriors in a 1-game scenario. The Lakers one, I'm kind of 60-40 Kings for the Warriors and Kings in favor of the Kings, and the Lakers one I'm kind of 50-50. I do ultimately think they are a better team, so I'm gonna say they would lose to Dallas and they would end up getting it. But it is that is a tough one.
All right.
Moving on, we can go into my first hot take, and we kind of talked about them earlier, the Cleveland Cavaliers. So, like we said, they're 18-2 in the last 20 games, currently the 2 seed. I'm going to say Cleveland will make the conference finals. So that would mean, as it stands right now, that would mean first round they play Miami Heat, and I actually have a hot take about them as well. They'll play the Miami Heat, and then second round they would play Milwaukee, assuming Milwaukee beats Indiana.
Okay.
Assuming Milwaukee doesn't turn it around, and with how good the Cavs have been, Cleveland's a complete team. We all talked about their offseason was a good offseason at the end of the day. Picking up Max Strus, guys like that. They have shooting, they have defense, they got Jared Allen and Evan Mobley down low. They have lineups where they can alternate those guys. They have an elite point guard in Darius Garland. They have one of the best players in the league right now in Donovan Mitchell. Georges Niang comes in and Max Strus comes in. They'll hit threes. They'll play defense. Isaac Okoro is a guy who was a lottery pick for them who still the offense is always shaky, but we know he's a very, very good defender. And you don't have to force him to play 30-plus minutes because you have other wings now.
Yeah.
So he can come in and be a complimentary guy, 20-something minutes, 20 or even less on some occasions.
Yeah.
And be a good guy for him. Karis LeVert, you got a scoring punch off the bench.
Yes.
Sam Morrill's a guy who came in and is very, very good for them. He's one. He never doesn't see a shot he doesn't like.
Exactly.
This is a Craig Porter Jr., a random pickup for them, who's a very, very good end of rotation point guard for them now. Doesn't make a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
This is a team that they're complete. They're really a complete team if you think about it. And they're one of the most complete teams in the league. From top to bottom. So, besides like the Celtics, maybe they might be the most complete team.
Yeah. It's tough for me to agree, obviously, because I don't know how things are going to shake out, right? Because we said about the Bucks, they've been on a downswing, but they got 2 Hall of Famers on their team. So that you never know how that might go. So they can get back up there, and then if Cleveland, we've seen Cleveland play bad ball, not kind of this year. Obviously, they had some injury stuff going on, but we've seen them not play up to their ability. And they're also, when Donovan Mitchell isn't on, I feel like they're a different team. But he's obviously been hot, so I don't know how things are going to shake out in the East. But I have to agree with that. If everything stays as it is right now, I think they'll be a conference finals team, no doubt. Or do they beat my Celtics? I have to say no, but I think that'd be a great series. I think that's one that you want to watch, and I pray we get that series instead of having to play the Bucks. Yeah, the Cavs scare me much less than the Bucks scare me.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say no, they don't beat the Celtics. From what I've seen so far, the Celtics are just the best team in the NBA, and the Celtics, the Cleveland, obviously they're very good, but I'm gonna kind of throw in another hot take in there. And I don't necessarily this wasn't even on my list, but I don't necessarily agree with it that much. But I would be surprised, but I wouldn't be like, oh wow, this is crazy. Like what Miami did. I was way more surprised about that than I would be about this. Could we possibly see a Cleveland New York conference finals? How surprised would you be
if New York beats us?
If Cleveland would end up beating the Bucks and like New York beat the Celtics?
I don't think New York beats us. I don't see a world where that happens.
I don't think it happens, but I see a world where it could happen, if you understand what I'm saying.
I see a world where Drew Holiday puts Jalen Brunson in fucking hell.
I don't think that happens.
You don't think that happens?
I think Jalen Brunson would have a great series.
And I think Drew Holiday and Derek White?
It's tough, but
that's hell every possession, Ethan. That's every time.
It's hard for me to go to the Celtics. I think the Celtics are going to win the championship, but I'm saying the Celtics somehow have the way they play basketball, right, with the way they are with their 3-pointers, and they end up having just a bad shooting stretch. A lot of things go wrong. They end up losing, right? Something happens, they somehow lose. I can see a world with that, even with the way they play, I don't see. There's not a lot of teams that can still, I don't think, beat them in a 7-game series.
Yeah.
But the Knicks, out of teams that could beat the Celtics in a 7-game series, I think the Knicks are one of them.
Yeah, I agree.
I think the three teams we're talking about, the Knicks, the Cavs, and the Bucks are three of the teams out east that could be the Celtics. I don't think necessarily will. And then, of course, we're not going to worry about the West teams right now. But those three teams are teams that could beat them. Mm-hmm. Now, if I'm talking about percentage-wise, I'm thinking like if it's Knicks and Celtics, right? Because that would be a second-round matchup. If it's Knicks and Celtics, I would say I'm probably 80-85% Celtics.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll say 80. I say 80-20. But that 20% that the Knicks do win is I can see a world where we get Knicks Cavs conference finals.
I would hate that so much. If we lost to the Knicks in the playoffs, I would be furious. And then having to watch Knicks Cavs as a conference finals, I think that would hurt the soul. But yeah. I guess I could see what you're saying. The Knicks lineup, first off, the Knicks are already, they play playoff basketball basically every game because their rotations are so short due to who their coach is. Right? So they've been playing playoff basketball since the first game, essentially. Right. And I mean, they got defensive players. They got Bogdanovich now, right?
Yep.
They've got who's been playing insane minutes, by the way. He played 46 minutes the other day.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I see what you're saying. Like, they've got a team where you say to yourself, like, if there was a team that was going to give the Celtics a bit of a problem, like, they're one of them.
I mean, they have the matchups. I mean, they got big wings of players that can give y'all's guys. You know, they got OG Anunoby out there. They got Josh Harts of the world. You know, they got Dante DiVincenzo. They got guys that can you know, help limit Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. You know, so. I don't know if they necessarily have they might have Mitchell Robinson coming back, and that could help be a good matchup for Porzingis.
Maybe.
So
I think that would be tough on Mitchell Robinson though, just because he would have to cover so much ground, right? Because he's supposed to be their paint defender, which I guess Tibbs could try to play some sort of a zone, but that's tough in the NBA, obviously. And then also there's times where we have lineups out there that with 5 guys that can really shoot. So if you go man, then Mitchell Robinson's going to have to kind of cover up.
Ultimately, it all rests on Julius Randle, I would think. Because like you said, Jalen Brunson's their best player, but he has Derek White and Drew Hall to deal with.
Yeah.
Right? But if Julius Randle could have a big series,
I don't know if we have anybody that could, you know.
Yeah, I don't know if y'all do. And Julius Randle is still a guy that, you know, we don't know if that's going to happen, obviously. We know how he is with the playoffs. We know the type of shots he takes.
Yeah.
But if Julius Randle could have a big series, I think that's what it would take.
Yeah.
You know, it would take 3 big Julius Randle games to do that.
I agree.
But that's a hot take. That's definitely a very hot take, but something that very not likely to happen. But you can go ahead. I have 2 more. You have another one you said, right?
Yeah. This is my last one.
Your next one.
I was gonna say, and this actually kind of is contrary to your last point. I think, regardless if Philly has Embiid back, they win a first round series.
Think Philly wins in the first round regardless.
Yeah. Yes, regardless, Embiid or not, they win the first round.
Okay, so I think right now they go against New York.
Yeah,
you think they'll beat New York without Embiid?
I do.
Really?
I do, yes.
What makes you say that?
Because I've seen Buddy Hield play really good basketball since he got traded to them.
Yep.
Right. He kind of looks like, I don't know. You probably don't remember him playing in college, but he's taking a little bit more of like a shot creation role. Like he can create his own shot and things like that. Right. Yeah. Tyrese Maxey, obviously an all-star. Right.
Right.
I don't know if you've seen Ricky Council. He's been playing really good basketball.
Yeah, I
have. Paul Reed, obviously we know B-ball Paul. He's gonna play good defense. He's a good basketball player. If they've got a lot of guys like that where you look and you're like, damn. Obviously, Tobias Harris has had some injury stuff, but Tobias Harris, when he's been
a good player.
Yeah, when he's not hurt, is a very good basketball player. We know that. I just think they have a really good team. I think that if you look at their roster, they got Kelly Oubre, they got, obviously KJ Martin, Batum when he's, is not bushing. I think they have a deep roster, and then even when you look at it, like, okay, Mo Bamba's been playing all right minutes. He's been hitting some threes.
Yeah,
I think they have enough to beat the Knicks in the series. Obviously, it's going to be tough having to go against Brunson and Randall. But I think that I can see where we're in 7 games they win.
I think it's more likely the Knicks beat the Celtics than the Sixers beat the the Knicks without Joel Embiid.
Really?
You got to think. I don't think Joel Embiid's coming back this season.
I don't think he is either.
And if he does, I think he's coming back hurt and he's not going to be good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
You got to think about what they're missing out right now, RJ. They're missing out on 35 points a game, 11 rebounds, 6 assists.
Damn.
That's a lot. 35 points. You're missing out on 35 points a game right now.
Well, how have they been since Joel Embiid left? Since Joel Embiid got hurt.
Good.
What's their record since he got hurt?
Let's see.
And they're 3-7 in their last. But I mean, I don't think that's indicative of their actual.
I think they dropped. Like I said, I don't even think they play the Knicks in the first round. Mm-hmm. I think Joel Embiid is not going to be back for a while. I don't think he comes back. And I think they're kind of going to pull the plug a little bit if he doesn't come back regardless. Because if they end up deciding, okay, he's not coming back, I don't even think they might end up trying to just lose more games. I don't know.
I think I could see them being still effective. I don't think they have to pull the plug. I think obviously, like you said, missing out on 25 points a game is a lot. That's
35
or 30. I meant 35. Yeah, 35 is a lot. That's you're missing. Yeah. But I just think that they could still make some shake. I think
maybe. I mean, they do have a good team. They have a lot of good pieces. Yeah. I think this is probably the best team Joel Embiid's had. Yes. In my opinion.
Yeah.
Because everything fit. Maybe besides Ben Simmons, Jimmy Butler, Tobias, all those guys, JJ Redick, but obviously Ben Simmons stuff happened.
And then Embiid wasn't what he is now.
This might be the best team Bill Robinson seen, but an MVP caliber player because you got complementary pieces. You got guys like Kelly Oubre who's been having a crazy season.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, you have to go out what it is right now. So I got to go them playing New York right now.
Mm-hmm.
But assuming, honestly, even if Embiid doesn't come back, I think they would still be a top 6 seed. I think they'll still be better than Miami or and Orlando.
Yeah, I do too.
I think Indy would jump them. I think Indy would go up to the 5 seed.
Yeah.
But if they jump down to the 6th seed, then you're playing Milwaukee in the first round. See, I think we can both agree that's wraps. Right?
Maybe I should have said if the playoffs started today, because I think
that's what we're going off of.
Their best route would be through the Knicks, and then obviously in the second round, they will be too much for them to handle the Celtics, but.
The Knicks though. We just talked about the Knicks. Like I said, they're a complete team, and they have guys like Josh Hart and Donte DiVincenzo to chase Tyrese Maxey around all game.
That is true.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Then even though Julius Randle has his playoff woes, we think Tobias Harris is matching up with that. Kelly Oubre, maybe.
I think they have some bodies they can throw at him. Now, are those great defensive players? No, but I think they have some bodies they can throw at him.
And then, who are we throwing at? OG Anunoby is a guy we know he can go for 20 on any night. Bojan Bogdanovic will come in and drop 20.
That's true.
It's a lot. It's a lot to deal with.
I don't.
They do have bodies they can throw it at Julius Randle, like Nicholas Batum, Robert Covington. These are guys that can maybe slow him down.
Yeah.
These are also guys that are older.
And we've also seen Julius Randle not perform in the playoffs.
Yeah, we have.
Not to say that he won't this year. I can't say if he will or won't, but we've seen it happen before.
Right. And he also did make a good point about with Jalen Brunson, how you have Celtics have Drew Holiday and they have Derek White to throw at him. The Sixers, I love DeAnthony Melton, but
that's their best shot. Yeah,
if DeAnthony Melton is all I really have, because Buddy Hield ain't guarding him, Cameron Payne ain't guarding. Kyle Lowry is 37 years old.
Yeah,
and pick up Kyle Lowry, but these guys aren't doing. Jalen Brunson's going to have a crazy series against them.
Yeah.
Now, if we had Joel Embiid to come back late in the season, even if he is maybe a little out of shape, if he comes back and he able to get ramped up a little bit before the playoffs, and he has a good playoffs, isn't injured, he actually is healthy. Now, I can see the Sixers maybe getting it because I love Mitchell Robinson, but that's 30 points.
That's 30 points a night.
If it's a healthy Embiid, of course.
I could even see if Embiid was half healthy, even if he's at 70%. Again, his gravity is so heavy on the court, because
Yeah.
Realistically, in a one-on-one situation, he's beating everyone in the league. Like, there's no one in the league that could really, maybe Wemby just because the height, but still, Wemby's a stick. Like,
yeah.
So in a one-on-one situation, like, Embiid's like throwing everyone out his way. So his gravity on the court is so very heavy. So even just having him out there is, game changing.
All right. So I'm going to half agree with your take then. I'm going to say no Embiid, first round exit. But I'm going to say if Embiid comes back and he's 80% healthy, I'm going to say they could. I think it's still that would be a good series. I think with New York, but I'm going to say I'm still up in there. But that's definitely a series they could win because they ultimately would have the best player in the series. We can go ahead and move on. Though I have two more. I'll throw this one out there first. I think this one we can go over quick. It's about LeBron. I'm going to say LeBron will leave the Lakers this offseason. It's an interesting one.
There's so many dependent pieces. Because I've heard that the Lakers are going to try to draft Bronny just so that they can keep LeBron.
I personally don't think Bronny gets drafted this season.
I do.
You think so? I'm not big in college basketball, but I've looked at the stats. He hasn't really done anything too crazy. He also had a heart condition.
The problem. There's two problems, right? If Bronny's going to get drafted by a contending team, because whoever that team is going to figure we get a 1-year rental LeBron. So that obviously, and then Bronny, as far as like his draft stock is, he's a good player, right? So I kind of follow college basketball. Like I'm somewhat tapped in. He kind of like projects as like a shorter Drew Holiday with a better jumper. So like he plays good defense. He's not gonna be like a generational type of player like LeBron. That's not what I see. I see he's about 6'2", 6'3", can really shoot it, can play some defense. I'd say if he might have the best jumper in the class. Like he really can shoot the ball.
Really?
Yeah, he can really shoot the ball. But it's one of those things like he started playing when they were 10 games in. Or they had played a significant amount of their season. So like obviously his stats he's gonna have to try to like make a path for himself on the team. And I think for me, when I look at college basketball players, I always try to look less at the stats because I feel like a lot of times they can lie. Like when you look at a guy like Scotty Barnes' stats when he was in college, like there was times where he came off the bench and stuff like that, or like right now, like you look at a guy like Rob Dillingham who's at Kentucky right now, like he comes off the bench and Reed Shepherd comes off the bench. So like a lot of times, like college coaches, like they're not just doing stuff to get guys to the league; they're doing stuff to win games in college. So a lot of times the stats can be a little deceiving but like when you watch and you see Bronny play, like you see flashes of a guy who has NBA skills as far as like the jumper, and his athleticism is crazy to be that height. So I think a team takes a chance on him, right? And I think his ceiling in the league is maybe like a second team all defense guy, a guy that shoots like 38% from three, and play obviously gonna give you good defense. And his IQ obviously his pops is LeBron. He has decent basketball IQ. I think any team that picks him will be successful. Now, with that being said, someone probably is just gonna pick him to get LeBron, and so I have to agree with this take that unless the Lakers can get him and all 30 teams decide we don't want LeBron, it's going to be tough to get. And no one's going to pick Bronny in the top 10, but it's like, how early do you pick Bronny so you can get LeBron? I will see that as we start getting closer to the draft.
Right. I wasn't even really mentioning it because of Bronny. I'm under the impression, I'm thinking that Bronny might end up going back to school again.
Okay.
Just because, like you said, he missed half or over half the season, had a heart condition.
Mm-hmm.
I think about it more so like, he needs to get his feet wet more to really, obviously if it was any other, if he wasn't LeBron James' son, I don't think there'd be any question that he'd be going back to school next season. Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. Just because teams haven't seen him enough. You know what I'm saying? It's not like he was an elite prospect anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And, like you said, he has those attributes, but I think teams still need to see more from him. And he has being LeBron's son.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just thinking of the sense of, I say this because I think the Lakers will miss the playoffs.
Okay.
I think the Lakers will miss the playoffs. Or if they don't miss the playoffs, there'll be a first-round exit if they do make it. And I think ultimately, with LeBron being 39, that would make him test the free agency, not sign an extension, test the free agency, and ultimately walk. Now, it is rough because he's wants to live in LA. I'm sure he's 39 years old, probably doesn't want to move his family again.
You know what I heard?
What?
I heard that LeBron was seriously considering playing in New York. Now, if he goes and plays in New York, the coach will not be Tom Thibodeau. I can tell you that right now. Because LeBron's not playing 46 minutes
LeBron's not playing 46 minutes.
So there's obviously a lot of moving pieces with that. And if I'm
in New York,
I mean, I don't think he does either. But if I'm LA and we're doing some sort of a sign and trade, because I'm not just going to lose LeBron to New York.
If I'm in New York, I'm not doing that.
You would?
No. New York is perfectly fine how they are right now. No need to messing all that up to bring in a 40-year-old LeBron James. There ain't no need for that.
Really?
That's what in my opinion. I mean, New York is perfectly fine how they are. They have because if you're doing that, you're having to give up some of these guys that are making you so good right now.
Yeah.
And some of these guys that when you would need to be alongside LeBron. And I don't want to see Julius Randle and LeBron next to each other. I don't know, in my opinion.
That would be a little much.
That ain't AD. That ain't AD.
Hell no, that's not enough. Fuck.
I like Jalen Brunson in this number one option role. I want to see him continue to do that and see how far I can take them.
Yeah.
So I like them what they are right now. I think, it's just the problem is obviously teams would sign them, but like, how does it work? Like, how are we teams that not a lot of contending teams that have all that cap space? Philly, I can see Philly happening against Philly because Philly is going to have the cap space to do it. But because they're going to have,
there's certain there's half the league like LeBron. There's certain teams LeBron's just not going to play for, like because he's at the point of his career where he wants to be in a market that's like a market, you know. Like so you can I'm like half the league can damn near say he's not going to play. He's not going to play with the Pistons, Wizards, Hornets, Raptors. You know who does have a chance? The Nets.
Would you say that? Oh,
the cap space. It's in Brooklyn. I mean, I think that they can get free agents. We've seen that. They can make a run.
Yeah.
Chicago can maybe make. That's the tough.
Nah,
that's the tough.
Chicago. He's not playing for that front office.
Yeah, you're right. All right, so the Nets maybe, but he's not. I couldn't see him going to Atlanta. I couldn't see him going to Orlando. Maybe Miami. Maybe, but then still they got still a lot of shit going on there. The Pacers, no, he's not playing in Indiana. Philly, potentially, like you were saying. New York, outside shot. Milwaukee, no. Cleveland, not back to Cleveland.
I mean, I wouldn't mind it.
Yeah, I said Cleveland. I'm like, damn, maybe. I
mean, and they have a great team.
I could see, you think?
I don't know what they would have to open up, but, oh, man.
Damn, maybe, I mean, he might go to Cleveland. I said it, and I was like...
You go to Cleveland, play next to Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland?
I said Cleveland, but then
that sounds like an NBA championship.
It does. No, it does. Especially their defense would be fucking insane, too. And LeBron wouldn't have to do much on defense. It would be more like a...
You probably end up having to maybe give up, like, you know...
Yeah.
Which let me not say maybe give up, because you got to make money work, obviously. You have a lot of guys.
So
But just assuming... Take it for face value, the rush they have now with LeBron.
Yeah.
Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, LeBron James, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen. If you want to start the guys together, cool. If you don't want to start those two guys together with the shooting, maybe Evan Mobley play the 5, Jared Allen come off the bench, or vice versa. Mm-hmm. And then you throw in Max Strus in there for the shooting and defense. That sounds like an NBA. That sounds like the best team in the East.
By far.
In my opinion.
The best team in the NBA.
Yeah, by far.
Yeah. And then looking at the Western Conference, I don't see him going to San Antonio. That would be scary, though, but not going to happen. Portland, no. Memphis, no. Houston, no. Utah, no.
He's not going to Golden State. He won't go to Golden State. I don't think he would do that.
You don't think
he would do that.
Why not?
I don't think so. I mean, you saw they said that he offered a trade and LeBron said no to the trade.
Yeah.
I don't think he would go to Golden State just because I think they already have something built over there.
Yeah.
So I
feel like him and Draymond will end up butting heads. Obviously they're tight now, but just because they're not on the same team.
Sacramento? Maybe?
I would hate to see that. I would hate to see that.
Yeah, I wouldn't like that either. Dallas
is Luka, he said, is his favorite young player.
And Kyrie.
Yeah.
Yeah, still would be a bit nasty, but
yeah, I don't want to see LeBron play for the Mavericks. I don't want to.
Yeah. I don't see any of the other Western Conference teams.
None of those other teams.
Phoenix, no. New Orleans, no. OKC, no.
My point being is there's really 4 teams that can really get LeBron. We said Cleveland.
2 teams that he already played for.
Yeah, we said Cleveland and Miami.
And the 2 New York teams.
And the 2 New York teams.
And Philly.
So it's 5 teams plus, who do we say out west? Or we didn't know? You said Sacramento, maybe outside shot.
Nah, nobody out west. So I don't think.
That's 5 teams in the entire NBA that even really have a shot at all.
It's rough.
So I mean, it's tough, and then you still got to make the money work. You gotta obviously shape your. LeBron's one of those players, obviously great player, but you have to shape your team around LeBron. You have to you can't just have any type of team around LeBron. I don't think. So
I mean, if the Lakers don't try to make something happen, obviously they made no trades at the deadline. If they don't try to make something happen, or they get
they're stuck
out of there in the first round or not even making it, what are they gonna? I mean, what are they gonna do?
Yeah.
If I'm LeBron, maybe he doesn't really. Obviously, he wants to win, but maybe he wants to stay in LA. But I'm LeBron, man. I'm thinking about that because he only has, I would assume, 2 more elite years left, maybe, and that's pushing it. I mean, this could be his last elite year for all we know.
Yeah, true.
But it's LeBron, so I'm gonna say he at least has 1 more elite year.
Yeah,
barring any crazy injuries. But I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's always tough to think about LeBron switching teams because I feel like anytime LeBron or a player of that caliber switches teams, it shifts the league. So it's gonna change things up. But I definitely can see it happening for sure.
Yeah. All right, and I have one more for you before we move on to our question of the day. It's about Miami.
Okay.
Hot take is Miami will not have another Cinderella run, and they will lose in the play-in.
I love that.
Of course.
Let's see it. I hope that happens.
And the main reason I say that is, they can't stay healthy at all. They've been one of the unhealthiest team in the league this season. Their offense it's stagnant.
Yeah.
It's very stagnant, and they picked up Terry Rozier to help that hopefully, but he's got injured.
Yeah, man, 4 players got hurt the other day when they played the Celtics. She was insane. Yeah. It was Terry Rozier. I can't remember now, but a lot of
Tyler Hero.
Yeah, Tyler Hero tweaked something. It was 4 people that got hurt. It was fucking insane.
Yeah. And Bam, Bam has been great this season, but Jimmy hasn't, how he is in the regular season, and he has had some personal stuff going on or something like that, So, that can mess you up, and I don't see it happening this season. I really don't. It's just the East is better.
I love it.
There's just no way, and nobody's going to take them lightly anymore, I don't think.
Oh yeah, no way.
I think it's possible for that to happen. So I'm going to go ahead and say it. They're not going to beat Boston. They won't beat Cleveland if they do make it out of the play-in. My hot take said they'll get bounced in the play-in.
Yeah.
But if they were to beat the play-in, they're definitely not getting out of the first round. They're not beating Boston, Cleveland, Milwaukee, New York. They're not beating any of the top 4 teams, and that's they would have to play one of the top 4 teams.
Exactly.
Right, so that's not happening. And then in the play-in, it's tough because it's hard to bet against them in the play-in, but because they're the 7th right now, so they would have 2 chances. But I could see Orlando beating them, man. Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero. I could see them beating them. I think Orlando's a better team. That. And then you have to go against either Chicago or Atlanta. And those are both teams that
a big part
easily beat.
In my opinion, is a big part of the playoffs. Obviously, is you're back and forth, right? Like the flights and shit. Yeah. I feel like if they had to play Miami, if Orlando had to play Miami, they'd be in good shape. It's like a home game, damn near. You just always. I feel like that would benefit them. That would benefit Orlando from just because they're just so young and the experience part of it. It wouldn't be much of an experience. It'd be more like, it'd be more in the realm of normalcy. Normalcy.
Yeah.
Instead of them having to play a team like Boston, which is
Yeah.
So
and then Chicago and Atlanta, they can definitely beat. For that second playing game, but those are teams that can get hot. Kobe White can get hot and drop 30.
Yes.
Now, I think they would beat Chicago, but I think Atlanta would beat Chicago in that game. Yeah. So I'm gonna say they'll play Atlanta. In Atlanta, Trae Young and DeJounte Murray could get hot, and they could beat them. So I don't know, man. It's tough, but this team that almost lost to Chicago last year to play.
Yeah.
And think about how different playoffs would have been then, but I think they were so close. And I just don't see it, the Cinderella run this year. I don't think they have the team. They're worse than they were last year. You know, they don't have guys like Gabe Vincent anymore who were so good for them last year. They haven't been able to stay healthy at all. So I don't see it happen.
I agree.
All right. We can go ahead and move on. Hopefully that doesn't happen. I don't want to see that happen anymore. I want to see the best, the top teams play.
Me too.
You know, I want to see a Celtics Bucks conference final or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So, no, Miami. Let's not have that this year. All right. But we have our question of the day, RJ. So I'll let you go ahead and introduce that.
All right. So with it being All-Star Weekend, with all the All-Star festivities going on, it got me thinking, and I was wondering, Ethan, who do you think? Because every year we see one and it's not really like this anymore because the league is so deep. But in the past, in the early 2000s and in the 2010s, it felt like every year someone would make the All-Star team. You look at it kind of like, he's an All-Star now? So my question is, who do you think is the worst player in modern times to make the All-Star team?
Yeah, like I was telling you before we recorded, I choose Mon. He's a guy from the 2010s because, end of the day, if I go back to the 80s or 70s or even probably 90s and early 2000s, there's going to be some really bad All-Stars. Yeah. But I want to choose ones from at least the 2010s that we saw some bad All-Stars in the 2010s. And I chose this guy. His name is Kyle Korver.
You chose Kyle Korver?
I chose Kyle Korver.
Okay.
And let me tell you why. So, there could have been some other options like big men. There's definitely some big men in from those times that got in, but we kind of were just like they were forced to make it because big men have to get his positions. And I wanted to go with a guy who's a wing because the wing has always been the deepest, right? And I chose Kyle Korver because this is a guy we all know. He was on that famous Atlanta Hawks team who had 4 All-Stars. You know, also being All-Stars was Al Horford, Paul Millsap, and Jeff Teague. And he was the 4th All-Star. He was an injury replacement. And he was on the number 1 seed in the East, of course. That team went 60-22 that season. They were 61 team, really good. But Kyle Korver, how much do you think Kyle Korver was averaging that season?
13.
He was averaging 12, 4 and 2.
Jesus.
12, 4 and 2, 47% from the field, 42% from 3, and 89% from the free throw line. So close to 50-40-90, but he wasn't even 50-40-90. Averaged 12 points a game. I know he was on the best team in the East, and it was an injury replacement. But you're telling me there wasn't any other guards that you could have filled in instead of any other guard / wing? Because he's a guard / wing.
Yeah, that is really
so
bad.
you think there was any other guys that could fill in instead of him that season?
Yeah, that's bad. That's really bad. But I feel like he definitely benefited a little bit from how good the team was too.
They were really good. But nowadays they don't care about the winnings, obviously. You don't either. Nowadays they don't care about the winnings, about the team winning. So
that's fair. I like that choice. Mine is a guy from the early 2000s. He was an All-Star back-to-back years, actually, 2002 and 2003. Or 2000, basically. Or 2003, 2004. And I chose Brad Miller.
Man.
He, it's kind of blasphemous. He made the All-Star as a big, averaging 13 points and 8 rebounds. Which in today's NBA is like, I don't know who's someone that's averaging 13 and 8.
He was the most improved player that season too.
He was most improved. I don't think he got first place.
2002, 2003. Oh no, he didn't.
Yeah, he was.
But he was in the running.
Yeah, he was in the running. So he was an All-Star again the next year. I guess 14 and 10 is a little bit more respectable, but that's still really bad for someone whose career average is 11 and 7. And I just think, like,
yikes.
To be fair to him, I mean, I guess 13 and 8. But then you look at the team wasn't even good. They got first rounded by the Celtics, the early 2000 Celtics, who were like not great.
Yeah.
So I think he might be the worst.
Sacramento the year after that.
Yeah. He might be the worst All-Star that's made it in the 2010. It was between, or the 2000s, because it was between him and Wally Zerbiak. At least Wally Zerbiak could shoot. He was really
Zerbiak, that wannabe All-Star.
Exactly. He said that shit about Tyrese Halliburton. Like, Tyrese Halliburton isn't way better than he ever was.
Like, Wally Zerbiak had a 9-year career.
He was an All-Star on a shit team, like an actual terrible team.
Yeah.
Which is like, I don't want to hate too much. Like, he he was a good player. Like he averaged like
Mobley Serback was a good player when he was an All-Star.
Yeah,
He was.
Tyrese Halliburton's way better than him though. Like it's not.
Yeah,
I don't think it's close.
Before Tyrese Halliburton was an All-Star, he was way better than him.
Yeah,
but.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think it was between one of those guys and
Brad Miller's.
Brad Miller had a
that's a bad one.
Yeah, very bad. Also, he wore the number 52, which is fucking blasphemous. Don't do that. You can't do shit like that. So yeah,
yeah, that's a bit crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't really argue with it. That's a pretty bad one.
Yeah,
that's
very, very bad.
Very, very bad. But hope you all enjoyed the video today. Unless you got anything else for us, RJ, we can go ahead and get them out of here. All right, well, I hope you all enjoyed. Be sure to like the video, subscribe if you're new, turn on notice. Go follow our Instagram and TikTok. We upload short content over there. And we'll see y'all next week. Peace.